Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go through my recent plant haul. I went and picked up some tropicals. It's really close to Valentine's Day here, so all of these orchids and bromeliads are usually out in the stores. And I decided to bring some color into my house, and I want to share those with you. If you're interested, stay tuned and I'll go through those right now. When it comes to growing bromeliads, people can be a little scared of them. And get frustrated and throw them out thinking that it's a disposable plant, but it's most definitely not a disposable plant. The first thing to note about bromeliads is that you want to pour water into the cup and not into the soil. They grow on trees or on rocks. The roots are there only to anchor them on whatever surface they're growing on. All the nutrients comes from the foliage. I have three varieties that I picked up on this adventure. This is a Guzmania, and its telltale sign is this really tall spike. You'll see lots of these out, especially around the springtime and even through the summer. I have grown these indoors and outdoors. Even though I'm in zone 4, I take them outside for the summer and then put them in a semi-shade location, and then I bring them back in for the winter, and they've done really well for me. I've been growing them for about 3 to 4 years as I've been growing them, and it works pretty well. I'll do a separate video on how to propagate the bromeliads as well as how to get them to rebloom, because what will happen, this will bloom for a few months and then this will start turning brown and people think it's dead. It's not dead. You can simply cut it off and then it will continue to produce pups. Again, I've done that in another video. So going through the bromeliads one more time, this is a Guzmania. Again, telltale sign of the spike. This beauty with the colorful starburst and the beautiful center spike is a Neoregelia. Also very beautiful. They come in lots of different patterns and colors. This variety is known for being one of the most colorful due to the colors in the foliage. Isn't it pretty? It's always interesting where they put the pots to match whatever color it's going to be too. I think the growers do that when they put the pups in here so they know what color it's going to be. But Neoregelia is that one. And the last one, which I'm doing a time lapse on the brack or the flower that's coming up here. I'll try to tip this up for you so you can see it. When I got this a couple weeks ago, that flower was embedded way down inside, and now it's starting to emerge. I've been doing some time lapse. I'll see if I can finish that up and I'll do a separate video on that. So this variety is called Aechmea, and you can see the color of the leaves is like a variegated leaf on this. It's just really beautiful. Again, the color is pink to match the blossom, which is, this is a Aechmea, or Aechmea, however you want to pronounce that. It's a little bit bigger. These get quite large, but for me, they're going to be just fine. I'll probably take these outside. I have a pavilion area or picnic area that we have outside where we would like to have a lot of tropical color during the summer, and I might take them out for the summer and then bring them back in again. The one thing about getting them outside is it helps to progress the pups, where the pups will come up and grow, and then next winter you can actually take those pups off, and I'll show that in a separate video. Finally, I want to go through my orchids. So these I got on the clearance rack at Lowe's. They were marked down because the flowers had started dropping. I've been growing orchids for about 7 years or longer, maybe 10. And I've had a lot of luck with them reblooming, and I'm gonna go through that right now. But one of the things that you have to do when you get them out of the rescue station, you have to repot when you pull them out of the rescue. Usually they've been overwatered, which a lot of times will create a premature drop of the blossoms. So you don't want to overwater them. So when you go to the Lowe's in particular, at the half price counter or the clearance counter or the clearance rack, there will be a tag and there'll be a line through it, and it'll tell you that they're half price and it'll say how much they are. Orchids will react if they're not happy. If you overwater them, they will drop their buds for sure. If you underwater them, they'll drop as well, and then the leaves will become really flexible. I happened to talk to the plant care lady, and she said that she went on vacation and somebody overwatered all of her orchids, so she had to pull them and put them on clearance. So I just happened to be there in time to kind of get the pick of the litter. And what I always do is I always go ahead and I change the potting medium. So when they come in a little cup like this. Sometimes it'll be a little bit bigger. This is a smaller one. And these are in kind of a chucky mix right now, but I am going to switch it over into a peat moss so it has a little bit more nourishment. So what I like to do is I like to up pot. And so this one, I could use a 4-inch clear pot like this, which is considered an orchid pot, to get air and light in there. What I decided to do is to put 2 of these in one container. And what I found is, even though you can get the orchid mix, I think it's too heavy. I don't like it. So I'm probably going to put this plant medium, which is just the orchid bark, in the bottom of this, and then I'm going to fill it with some sphagnum moss. So to do that, I've hydrated some moss. You can get it dehydrated. I got my plant tray here to try not to make too much of a mess. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out. I'm going to hold on to the supports to make sure that we don't snap off the flower stem at this point. The root system is pretty small. I'm looking at the roots and they're not too mushy. I think I got to them in time. I am going to take this bark, just put it on the bottom to let the drainage continue. And then what I'm going to do is take some of this moss. Now I've got 2 of these I'm going to have to hold on to. So when you hydrate moss, you want to take and you want to squeeze it out. And I'm going to basically put a nice bed on the bottom and the surround. Hopefully you can see that okay. I'm going to switch the camera now so we can do a close-up and you can see better what I'm doing. Okay, so we're zoomed in here. So you can see that orchids need a clear pot. These roots need to see, the aerial roots need to see light. I'm going to dump this out. This has a little bit of sphagnum moss in here, because usually they surround it so it has some kind of nutrition. And I've already started this where I've got some moss in the bottom. And then this one's going to need to be placed in there too. So I'm going to set that in there. It's a bit of an awkward angle. So I'm going to continue to squeeze out the extra water. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to surround these little orchids with this medium, and I'm going to create a nest. I'm going to do it here so you can see. So again, I'm off camera here, squeezing the extra liquid out, and I'm going to come under this and I'm going to just lightly tuck it in there to get it. Let's see what I did. Just lightly tuck it in there. I'm going to keep doing that. And there's some orchid bark mixed in the sphagnum moss too, which is fine. I'm going to make sure that these roots are surrounded with this moss, which gives it all kinds of nutrition, as it would in the wild have the bark and whatever's on the forest floor, I suppose, or whatever little plants die up in the trees and catch. I had a friend in Puerto Rico that they used to take orchids and they used to take a half of a coconut shell and they used to put moss, sphagnum moss in it like this, and then they would tie them into the trees in Puerto Rico, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then they gave me an orchid for Mother's Day. That was quite a while ago, but yeah. I made sure that I knew how they were doing it in Puerto Rico, which is nice. You can see the roots are there, which are fine. I'm going to try to sneak some more potting medium down in there. I'm going to kind of hold up on it, push down. My goal is not to damage those roots in any way. I've done it before where I have a lot more of the aerial roots come in on top, and they will make their way back up. My goal is not to bury the aerial roots. It is to surround them with some nutrition. So they got plenty of room, so they should be fine. I'll stick just a little bit more in here, I think. So my goal is to put 2 of them in. I have 2 sets of these in containers like this to make sure that they get some good nutrition. And it will take a little bit for them to acclimate to this new container, but they should do pretty well, and these will start coming up. These roots will start coming up the side of the plant and then emerge out of the moss. If you look at, let's see if I can get this to turn right. The one thing to note about orchids is they will drop their flowers like this, and then they start setting a new bud. And what will happen is this will create a whole nother branch if you let it, like what you see happened here. So just because these flowers drop doesn't mean that it's done blooming. So you need to take care of the orchids, make sure that they stay moist, not wet, but moist. And they will create a whole nother branch and bloom. I've gotten orchids to bloom almost 4 to 6 months. So don't give up on them. These are my other orchids that I have. I'm just going to take them out of this. These were so wet, I just decided to let them dry for a day or so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this bark in the bottom, and I could put fresh bark in there too. I do have some fresh bark I could use. So what I'm going to do is put this fresh bark in the bottom. Again, this is to make sure I got good drainage. Followed by some nice a nice bed of hydrated moss. And you can see the root system in this is pretty nice. All the aerial roots. I'm going to try to keep this together. I grab this one, which has a much shorter root system. You can see how limp the leaves are. They really need to be hydrated. So I'm going to do, let's grab another bunch of moss. And I'm going to wrap it around this side. Yeah, so this is just to show you what I've got. This is just a dry, long fiber moss. I'm simply putting it in the bucket to hydrate it. Grab a handful. Don't need a lot for this project, but it's always nice to have some hydrated on hand. I didn't estimate enough, so I'm just going to let it absorb this water. I'll probably put some more water in there to speed this process up a little bit. There, I've got it floating in here. So I just need to squeeze that water out the best I can. And then I'm going to surround this smaller orchid here with a nice nest of Sphagnum Moss. Try to hold it up and do it at the same time. Challenging. Grab some more. Again, I'm just going to feed it down in here. These roots are going to be a little bit closer to the surface, which is fine. I just really need to make sure that I've got enough moss around them to give them a chance to rehydrate. You can see on the side how it is. You can see here on the side how it looks. Looks pretty good. I don't have any real voids. I'll double check the center of this as well. You can see the aerial roots are in there. I'm just going to keep these together. Sometimes it's nice to get a good collage so you have color right away. I think the goal of this video is to show people that you can get orchids at a cheaper price if you go to the clearance rack in the nursery centers and pull some of these orchids out and give them some love, give them some attention, give them some moss so they can feed and do well in your home. Again, I've been doing this for a long time and it works really well. I'll be doing some additional orchid care videos, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my great content. I'm going to move these orchids up to my bathroom right now, which has a little bit higher humidity naturally. It's a bathroom. It has a very small window on the west side and it provides just the right amount of light that my orchids absolutely love it up there. So this concludes my Lowell's rescue from the clearance rack of the orchids that are there, and they're just beautiful right now, so you might want to go check your local Lowell's and see if there's some orchids that need rescuing as well and rehoming. I think this project turned out pretty well. Let me know what you think in the comments. If this video is helpful, give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with others. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.